everyone, Tony Panek here. This is Panek in the Region in Whiting, Indiana at the historic Hoosier Theatre. You know, in all my years of doing Panek in the Region, I have yet to go to Hoosier Theatre. That changes here today. Oh, 2 tickets? All right, I'll be right with you. Just one sec. In the meantime, let's go check it out. Here now with John Catras, owner of the Hoosier Theatre. Now, the Hoosier Theatre, historic, but your family is kind of known for owning historic theaters. Is that correct?
That is correct, Tony. My parents had the Vogue Theater in East Chicago, Indiana. They had it before I came along, actually. It was a 900-seat theater on Chicago Avenue. I think it was 811 Chicago Avenue at the time. And it was arsoned, and it was raised in 1976.
So seeing that, growing up around that, is that what inspired you to purchase the Hoosier, or how did that come to be?
Well, actually, I got the Movie Palace bug back when I was about 10 years old. Actually, we went to see this movie called The Chariots of the Gods at the Paramount Theater in downtown Hammond. And that was the first time I ever stepped foot in a real movie palace, and I was at awe. And I go, wow, I didn't think theaters actually looked like this back then. But I never thought of it at the time. And when years later, 1989, when there was a newspaper article saying that they're going to be raising the Paramount Theater in Hammond, I went down there to go take some pictures of it before the building got raised, because I still have a passion for old buildings, especially old historic theaters. And the building was open, and there was other people inside just kind of reminiscing, and I was taking pictures. And I made a comment, says, well, there goes the last of the grand movie palaces in northwest Indiana. Then this other gentleman in there, he goes, no, there's still one more. And I go, one more? I said, I know, I've been here all my life in the region. And he says, there's the Hoosier Theatre in Whiting. And I had to think about it for a minute. Whiting? Yeah, I've never been to Whiting. I've been here all my life.
Never been to Whiting?
Never been to
Wow,
Whiting.
that's a shocker.
It's crazy. The only thing I knew about it was the Amoco oil at that time. And so I still had film in my camera. I go, oh, if there is a theater, I'll go down there and, kill off the roll of film that I got. So I'm going down the boulevard, not knowing where downtown Whiting was, if there was a downtown Whiting. And a corner of my eye to the right, going down the boulevard, I saw the downtown district. So I pulled in there, and I was just at awe with the charm of downtown Whiting. And drove around. I found the theater right in the center of town. It was shuttered. Took pictures. And then I was kicking around at the time. I was a design-build contractor at the time. And just my curiosity, I wonder what the story is on this. So then I went to the Hammond Library, did microfilm research from the beginning of the time the theater opened up until the time the theater closed down back in the 80s. And according to the newspaper guard, the last newspaper article, the owner wanted to either sell it or it was pushing for the city to tear it down and make a parking lot out of it. And so I looked up this individual's number, contacted him. He says, yes, this theater's for sale. I says, can I take a look at it? So as soon as I stepped into the theater, I've seen some photos on the microfilm research, which, looked I knew it was a palace inside, a small movie palace. So when I came a walkthrough with the owner, I kind of looked around. I saw all the fire damage, and everything was original from the 20s, even the heating system, which was oil heat at the time. And so I thanked the gentleman. I kicked it around for a few more weeks, kind of crunching numbers. I says, this is doable. And then I posed as a college student, walked around downtown Whiting. Believe it or not, Tony, I'm telling you.
You were determined, weren't you?
I was thinking, gosh, I wonder if this could work. So I was still in my 20s at the time, mind you. So I posed as a college student, and I walked around with my notebook, talking to people on the street. The theater, the Hoosier Theater is closed. If someone came along and restored it, would you patronize it? And if so, what would you want to see done to it? Would you rather see movies, theater? Everybody, I did not get not one negative response. Their eyes just lit open saying, well, somebody's actually want to do something with the Hoosier Theater. So after I seen the positive response, I says, okay, let me go talk to this owner. I'll see if I can strike a deal with him. He kind of told me what he wanted for the building in the first meeting. And I said, okay, I think I could pull this thing off. So then in 1990, we signed the contracts, and in January 3rd, we closed on it, and that's when I got the keys to the building.
When you step in here, you feel like you're kind of part of that history from 1924.
That is correct. we tried to match everything that we could. I played archaeologist. I was stripping layers and layers of paint to kind of find some of the original color scheme. A lot of things you see in here was not in here. This theater was stripped, ready for the demolition crew. There was no light fixtures in here. A lot of the woodwork was missing, and we actually added a lot of this. A lot of this plaster mold is all new. They stripped it to streamline it in the 1950s.
You wouldn't be able to know. You would think it was someone from back in that time period. That's impressive, and of course, a lot of history here. Speaking of history, I mean, the acts that came through here back in the day. Is that right? The Three Stooges performed here?
Actually, before they went to Hollywood, there were vaudevillians. It was Shemp and Samuel and Moses Howard. They were doing this vaudeville routine. And they were in Chicago. They actually came and did a shtick on the Hoosier Theatre stage back in the 1920s. I don't know the exact date, but they were on that stage. Also, W.C. Fields was on the stage. Charles Laughlin, the actor, was on the stage, who was the Hunchback of Notre Dame in the 1920s. Amos and Andy, the famous dog named Rin Tin Tin.
Wow.
I mean,
that's a lot of history.
It sure is. It really is. And also, for those who don't know about it, this was a tryout house for vaudeville acts for the Ballad and Cats circuit in Chicago. So those who want to get into vaudeville or show business, they'll come and audition here at the Hoosier Theatre for a lot of the bigger outlets in Chicago. So they use this as a tryout house also.
Amazing. Well, we talk about the past. Let's talk about the present first. You're still showing movies week to week, aren't you?
That's correct, Tony. We do first run and intermediate run films, and we try to kind of mix the menu to cater to everybody. And being a single screen theater, it's kind of hard to cater to everybody. And our plans was years ago to add a second theater, but just time and energy just wasn't feasible.
You know, the concessions too. I gotta say, great popcorn, by the way. It's fantastic. It beats the other places, and higher price. It's fantastic.
Thanks. Well, we try to do our best. We try to keep things reasonably priced.
Yeah, that's key.
And we try to keep the place clean. And usually we're very attentive to our audience who comes here. And if there's any issues, usually I'm there to handle it, or my assistant manager, Joe Pernitis. He's a good kid.
That's very good. Now, that's the present. Now we got to talk about the future. After 30 years of owning the Hoosier Theatre, you're thinking about stepping down here. Just a time for retirement, right?
Yeah, it's just time caught up with me, Tony, and I think it's time to pass the baton out to a different operator. My main dream was to see it used to its full potential that I just couldn't get to in my life with the theater. So right now, I've worked with the City of Whiting and the group, and also with the Chamber of Commerce to form the Friends of the Hoosier Theatre, which would be a not-for-profit 501c3 that would take over the operations of the theater, to program it, to bring cultural events to the community of Whiting and to the region, actually. Not only just make it as a music hall, but also bring theater groups, school groups that need a performance space, maybe bring classic films into the community for people, to help maybe bring senior citizens over here from senior citizen centers and bring classic things, have the organ utilized more. So there's a variety of different things that the Friends of the Hoosier are talking about, and I hope what they say they're going to fulfill, because I think it's what the community and this theater really needs.
Well, I was going to ask you what your hopes are for the future of the theater, but you kind of summed it up right there with that statement. And really, the only place in the region like this anymore, dare I say, maybe the state. I don't know how do we know how many how many more of these palaces are left in the country?
Depending on the city and town, but in Northwest Indiana, we're it. This is it. The next palace would be in South Bend. You got the Morris and the State Theater, and then Lafayette would be the one south. That'll be the closest.
Well, John, thank you for the service to the region for over 30 years. I mean, you made a lot of people happy with the theater. I think more than you maybe realize sometimes. I mean, this has been a treasured memory for many folks coming here throughout the years. I know I came here as a kid. Probably saw The Lion King here a couple times, but really doing some great stuff for 30 years here in the region.
Thank you, Tony. We appreciate that.
Well, I had a great time learning about the past, present, and future of the Hoosier Theatre. Remember, come on out and enjoy the show, but please, no talking during the movie. Until next time, oh man, I gotta go butter the popcorn. Take care, everybody. I'll be right there.